lost. Can you guys, can you guys hear that? Cyborg, cyborg voice, cyborg voice. What's up, thrift store prepper? What's up, crazy gray? What's up, Badger report? You guys are awesome, totally awesome. Is there like a hum though? Can you guys hear is there like a hum? I feel like there's something in the signal. Still trying to get this all fixed. I'm actually playing piano. I'm doing this live. All of my music is live. I'm doing this whole fucking show. It's all live. Live from top to bottom. In case you were, I mean, yeah, so I figured I'd answer you. Just for you super fans out there, I am, in Hollywood, but everything I do on the show, I have learned sort of randomly and do not get paid for. And I will never probably do what I do actually professionally on the show. So good luck guessing what I actually do. Good luck. All right, seriously, no, I got some other stuff I gotta get ready. So I'll see you guys at the show.
What's up, guys? Hey, what's up? It's time for some fake truth. Yeah, that's right, it's the fake truth show. Yeah, that's right, it's the fake truth show. What is happening? Fake people. It's a sugar cat. I know what that song is. Questionable quality song, yeah. Family.
What is happening, party people? It's it's a new day, a new moment in time. Always something to discover. Man, I've been trying to I guess you would call it up my production value here. But it also became about sort of proving a point, because, right, we're getting into the weather. I spent yesterday making these bumpers. At first, I didn't know anything about motion graphics or bumpers or any of that. But I was like, I want to make some, and then I looked it up on the internet and I did it. And I'm here to say that, like, you too can learn new things. Like, I believe in you. And it's, I don't know, it may sound a little corny, but that has become a big part of this whole truth scene. Is like, nah, bro, like, I know you're all jaded and it's scary out there with the Illuminati, as my friend enjoys calling them. but it's like a beautiful thing that we got going here. Simulation or, whatever it is fucking tight, bro. I'm serious. Like, got all these bugs flying everywhere. Like sick hologram clouds flying above us. Sometimes I get that feeling like, I can tell that it is a simulation and you know, I'm like, oh, this part of the game is a little poorly designed actually, because I unimmersed for a second there. I realized I was in a simulation. Other parts of it are done really, really well, I would say. This time lapse is from not today, right? I could just say it was from today. Here's today's time lapse. Um, but it actually isn't. That would not be the truth. At least my own personal version, as much as I know it. We were talking a lot about, trying to break this up into sections. Talking a lot about how the weather has changed dramatically, ultra dramatically over the course of a day. It is now just hot as balls here all the time, nonstop, and I don't like it so much. And it just so happens to coincide with these sort of persistent things happening. If you have been watching this channel, though, for quite some time, and this correlates with the light uh, being on and being off. Shout out to Scott Rogers, my light fan out there. Um, Big shift happened, right? And coinciding with some just, I mean, you can see it here, the heavy, heavy layers. This is early in the morning, but I honestly only got a couple hours into this time lapse before the camera shuts down from heat exposure, right? So that's sort of unfortunate because I also need to sort of put it in the sun to image the sun, right? Some law perspectives there. I guess I can maybe find a different spot, but I kind of like this spot. It's got these wires in it. You know what I'm saying. I just want to make sure everything's working. It's great to see the chat. This chat is happening. It is the family's building. Man, I've been talking with Snafu. We got some plans, guys. Crazy plans. They involve pictures of clouds. No, that's a red herring. I don't want to give it away. But right, that was the general vibe today as well. I didn't get it to the time lapse today, but this has been a similar day, hot AF and extremely persistent in the style of what you see here, right? Holograms. Well, let's run through some pictures real quick. Right, it really has been. It has been days and days of clear, and it's interesting, right? Because I did read the info box on this particular subject, and these are only caused from condensation, right? Air temperature differences. So it just must be way, way colder up in this whatever level this is on, because, like I said, hot AF where I'm standing. But obviously, I don't know much about the atmosphere and can't look up there. So I gotta get my other camera going. This is a very blurry, tiny image of the sideways moon. Because I don't know, some people, have you heard about the sideways moon? Because I don't know, I must be misremembering this part too. That the moon was always like on its side, right? It was waxing and waning, but it would go up and down. Like it would wax and then it would wane. One or the other. Right, this is actually from a couple days ago, and this was the general vibe. This was the general vibe. And I just sort of like this picture of it's like equal parts fuck you pigeons and police state. I kind of like that picture personally. And I thought I had these on dynamic zoom. It makes it so much more dynamic. When it's on dynamic zoom, now it's like a documentary. So dynamic, right? The flowers are flowering, but it is so hot that these things are just they're gonna wither up pretty quickly at this point. Just sort of melt away, and watching that to see how long these flowers are actually lasting around. I ended up getting this like temperature sensor because I am just curious, right? In the general non-trusting zone. So I'm going to try to do these readings because it does give me humidity and wet bulb and all that kind of fun stuff. So because I was just curious when it became hot AF, all of a sudden how hot AF it was exactly, and it was like 108 degrees in the direct sun, which is it's just not, that's not normal. I'm sorry, super not normal. This is reading only 85, right? But at the same point, and this wet bulb thing, if you get into this science much, the wet bulb temperature is really really important. This is going to be right. If you exceed a certain amount of wet bulb temperature, there is nothing you can do to cool yourself down. You cannot be outside. Not if you want to stay alive, right? And that's has to do with the mix of humidity and temperature. And I think somewhere around 100 or so, it becomes unacceptable. Just fun facts. Some fun facts. Got a moth. And that's that's why I got to keep doing this show every day, because my pictures get out of order, and I forget why I took them. Here's a cool plane. I think it's a good I probably had some really important point here, that there was clouds and that there was no clouds, and clouds from other clouding plane clouds, planes cloudsmen. Man, it's a lot of work to develop this code language, and it sort of makes you sound like a crazy person, Cloud, sky, not plane, move, direct. But this, right? I don't know what else to say about something like that. That's just a very clear image to me what's going on very, recently. And I just got I got a whole bunch of them. Oh, I'll just delete my whole timeline. But we should get into the news, right? I'm trying to stay on task here because it would be beneficial, right? Yeah, here's the hit parade. Just a lot of milkiness going around, a lot of thick layering. It feels like a blanket that's maybe smothering you, and obviously very unrelated to the extreme heat wave that we're having. These probably have nothing to do with it either. Unrelated. Do not look directly into the 5G device. I keep meaning to go up to one of these poles and take a picture of the warning that's on them. I do realize it will take a couple days off my life, but I'm willing to risk it for you guys. Sounds a little crazy, right? Yeah, moths, bugs, and the like. They're still here. It's swarming, right? Because with all of that rain, that's what you're going to get. But they're already starting to, sadly die off. This is another beautiful creature. And these things only get a couple days, right? So it's been nice to have some nature shots for the show, but we're going to get back to the generic brown-looking, sort of burned-out scene with mostly mosquitoes and other less favorable bugs. But, they're here now. I like, check it out. It's green. Camouflage. Let's try hitting this button. I'm trying to get my buttons going, so I'm not staring at my keyboard per se the whole time. Button. Bam. Welcome to the news.
Welcome to the news. Wait, damn it. Hold on. It's this one. It's this one. It's this one. No, wait, it's this one. Welcome to the news, yeah, man. Now it's the news. No, that was said weather. Damn it. Alright. Third time's the charm, guys. Welcome to the news.
Alright, I swear, bear with me. As Snafu is so familiar with saying, I may have some more buttons than him, but I am also Ghetto Fabulous. This is a one-man show. And I don't know, it's amusing to me. Um, so, anyways, right when this whole fire kicked off, I don't know if I showed this article, but as with all symbolic things, right, that I don't think it actually burned down, but the double M, the magic is getting started. It is in danger, right? And there's actually some sort of crazy videos from this. I should probably be alright playing this. But it was like they had to evacuate the whole park. It was like smoky as hell, right? And all of these wildfires, they're just getting going. There's a big one in Yolo County, and it's, yeah, like I said, they shut down the power, right? I don't know what is the update on this. They must still be working on it. But like I was saying, PG&E, they filed for bankruptcy protection, and this is probably all just some, elaborate show. At least that's what I'm saying, to get us used to having our power shut off, because the company turned off power. Small little test here, but it's still in the news, and it's just something I've been seeing. And seeing is correlation. Causation is correlation. How do we get to the truth, guys? Can you help me? Can you help me? Damn it, my timer stopped running. Because this is a very touchy subject. It is, I guess, a show about family. And yeah, that's right. Badger was talking like about, because I want to talk about it every show, but I'm here in Hollywood. I'm definitely not trying to blow any whistles, like, because I don't want to get murked. I know that I for sure would, because, right? Why not? If this channel gets too annoying and too big, and I say too many, I don't want to go pointing any fingers. Basically, this is all sort of gross generalizations about things that I see, but I do have sort of a bird's eye view to the hornet's nest, or the den, or whatever you want to call it. I do know a lot of people in this town, and yeah, the network is, I guess, ever changing and growing and shrinking, but I don't want to, hence the voice changer. That's why I want to keep that connection, right? I want to keep operating in my professional life, because I think it gives me a unique angle for this whole seeking truth thing, because I am born and raised in the land of fantasy, of creation, of suspension of disbelief. That is, if there's one thing I know, it's storytelling, because I am absolutely drenched in it from birth. So enough about that. Family, right? Been seeing, just right, a couple of these are not ultra new, but I've been seeing a lot of these stories, especially around this weekend, where people in this community, I'm not talking about the Fugel fam, maybe these people are in the Fugel fam. That's why I gave that whole preface, because as you know, this state and this industry is very this word oriented, and right, my whole community also grew up with a lot of people in this community. So, right, and that's again my mantra, like, you never ever want to, hey, good night, thrift store, I'm gonna call you at some point. Thrift store is the man. But where am I going with this, right? This word, which we're definitely not allowed to say, these acts are being perpetrated against these people, and it is definitely this month, right? This month is very important in that, and these stories just seem to be, I mean, it's very permeating, and all over the country, from different news sources, from different outlets, all with the end effect of you being outraged about how this community is being treated in 2019, in this time of extreme openness and acceptance, that stuff like this is still going on, right? It's supposed to enrage you to the max. And this story was running, I guess, all week, that, right, in defiance to good old T-Man, they're gonna fly this flag. That is just what's happening, right? Because it's become this war on ideology. And again, with all this stuff, like, it is not about the people. It is not about any of that. It's about the division. It's about, right? This issue sets you right on one side or the other instantaneously, and then we splinter even further from there, right? And all the way down to the actual person. Everybody has sort of a different opinion about, this progression and what's going on here. So, right, and that's why I don't even want to get into that. I just want to highlight the division that it creates and the trend right here, right? The trend of articles that I was seeing all weekend long, and this one was really big, and I only ever see this single frame, right? And it is a very powerful frame, right? That is a very emotional image, and just again, gotta keep your wits about you when you are called to emotion through the news. I saw this story over and over and over again, just repeatedly. And this was happening, right, on this platform as well. I don't know if you saw this is a couple days ago now, but I don't know if you saw this, where, right, well, that's what they do. They set out these debates in the public sphere, and then, right, but there's a very obvious side.
You telling us the truth? You telling us? You telling us the? You telling us the truth?
Morgan,
you telling us? You telling us the?
Oh, because I've been rippling that whole thing. Okay, hold on. That was gonna work really well. I guess I need to lock these in place. Get a fabulous, guys. But right, you're obviously not supposed to agree with this headline and what's going on here, so you're gonna send YouTube some messages. You're gonna feel a certain way, and right, the end effect is gonna be censorship. Usually. Oh, bad keyword. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry for the keyword. Sorry for that keyword. And I guess then it went further, right? And just we're being just sort of brought along on this generic. It is a very generic formula, because it's just in general, right? What's the formula? Oh, person did something that is ultra bad, unacceptable bad in this society of acceptance and love and beauty, and we cannot let this stand, because that person or group is going to be is so oppressed by what that individual is doing that we're just going to need to not let people do that ever. And we'll just add this one to the list, and it's like a shopping spree, on your way out. Oh, well, I think we're going to grab not saying this or not doing this either on the way out. Okay, well, we'll talk to you later, guys. And then wait until the next event. Wait a couple days, let it settle in. It's like cooking almost, right? You add a little bit of this, you add a little bit of anger here, let it settle for a couple days, maybe have a big event. And I pulled these up because this is again from a couple days ago, but when you pulled up the doodle that I just showed from, these were the articles that came up, right? And we're supposed to, right? It's just add a little bit of remember the good old days. Sprinkle in some T-Man, and right, just a lot of things going on in this image and this story in general, right? I don't know. And again, like, I'll keep saying it over and over again. I want to say 70% of the people that I know and or work with are in this community. I love and respect all of them. All of them do fantastic work, and all of them are great people. That is not what this is about. That is not what this is about, okay? But in all seriousness, I mean it, right? This is this whole group, this whole movement is about love and acceptance for real. Truth yo. Hashtag truth yo.
You telling us the truth? You telling us the truth? You telling us the truth?
Yes. Decontaminated.
Damn it. Morgan, you're interrupting. You're still interrupting. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. How can I go on rants without planning them out too much and still keep this show on the rails? That's about all I got on this, though. I'm gonna leave those. I'm gonna leave this talk for a little bit later. Let's get over to entertainment land. Entertainment land. Wait for it. It's the moment you've been waiting for. Come on, button press. Wait. Here we go.
You telling us the truth? You telling us? You telling us the? You telling us the truth? You telling us? You telling us the? You telling us the? You telling us? You telling us the truth?
Yes. He needs to be decontaminated.
He needs to be decontaminated. Right. I want to look at entertainment from a bunch of different angles. Sometimes I really just, right, you got to pull these things out of context and see, just like with all the news and with the rest of the storyline. Oh, I need to pull the mixer though. Damn it. See, with this production stuff, there's always a trade-off. It's like, well, what if I add this thing here, this element here? You guys are experiencing live production here in the moment, and I'd really rather not have those transport buttons in the shot if I can avoid it. But it doesn't seem to be resizing in the proper sense. There we go. Check that out. Alright, stick with me. Got a fabulous truth here. Because I need to be able to mute the clips. And show you these images, because I think even jittery, it helps set the scene, right? And so real quick, if they were just talking about this on good old Marfugel, right? The fear of contagion, the fear of contamination, and how thick that is. He was just talking about how it's coming through, from his sister, from other people, and I'm sure people in your life, people in the chat were talking about it too. I wear gloves now, I'm scared, etc., etc. And I'm saying, a lot of that is definitely founded. A lot of that is definitely, you got to watch out for yourself. But I'm also just noticing these same messages, these same triggers in these shows, in a lot of the entertainment that's going around, right? And again, with all this stuff, like, I don't think you're really meant to read too many different news sources all at the same time, or watch too many different shows that aired in the same time, because people generally don't have that time. But that is something that I do, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. And you really start to see correlations, talking points, and right, I mean, the more I think about it, you'd have to be silly to think they got these talking points in the news that they're not going to have them in entertainment. This stuff is powerful, guys. Very hot potatoes here, and it has to be thought about, it has to be planned. And so, right, Chernobyl is the biggest show of the season. If you haven't seen it, I would definitely recommend, because you have HBO and you have British actors, and it's just incredibly powerful television. If you enjoy being entertained, which, I don't know why you. We all do. Shut up. Right, but that's all about this fear and contamination, the hot zone. A lot of the shows that I've been talking about, the hot zone, the rain, all of these shows are basically about contamination, spreading of pandemic, and the fear of that spread, and how that could happen. And in all of these shows, there's always a lot of primers and explainers, right? And maybe I'll get into this a little deeper on another show, but here it is in The Walking Dead, right? This is from this weekend's episode on Sunday, and right, it's been mostly zombies in the zombie show, but then they run up against an area that's been contaminated by a liquid something reactor, and right, they got to worry about the zombies now bringing contamination, bringing some jewels to give you radiation poisoning, as well as giving you zombie feelings, right? They're layering them in, but they're not, right? Before this moment where he asks us this beautiful pointed question. Can we just hear it again?
You telling us the truth?
Yes. He needs to be decontaminated.
Right? And they got to bring him into a shower, and he's got to shower down because they're worried about him being contaminated, right? And it's just a call to notice that the images cycle, they circle around. And you'll see them over and over again, and then you'll start to wonder how many of your thoughts are your own. How many original ideas do you really have? You know, pessimistic people would argue none. Zero. Absolutely nothing. Everything has been implanted in you, right? We got to go beyond that, I would say. We have power to change. We can do whatever we want. It's mostly this hardcore culturing that we get nonstop that keeps us frozen in time, and a lot of that is the fear. Keeps you frozen. Like this clip that just keeps repeating over and over again. I'm getting stuck on this one, and we are going to get to Handmaid's Tale. Believe me, we haven't hit the 33 mark yet, so you know that's part of that rule. The other clips I haven't cut, and I'm again, you know, these things are working. I'm terrified of getting ID'd, getting the content ID. I'm worried about it, and I don't always have time to prepare all the clips or the things that I want to talk about, which makes it very risky, right? I'll maybe show you sometimes. Then I'm just dragging the clip around on the timeline, and just hoping that I'm not going to play a long enough clip for the algorithm to trigger. It's just a really silly game of cat and mouse that we're playing. You know, all I want to do is talk about this tiny little moment. You know, we're talking 30 seconds. We're not talking the entire show. I'm not trying to pirate or show you the entire episode. Plus, everybody, you know, through 3 degrees has a Netflix account. Like, you can go watch Netflix on your own. I don't need to pirate Netflix to YouTube, much less would I ever, you know, that is not quality content. Just go and watch it on Netflix. Or you know, these things fall off trucks all the time. I'm not going to say any more about that. But that's not something we can do. I gotta jitter it around, and this is a very jittery scene, and it's gonna make it a little more intense. So you know, you've been warned. Here comes some jitteriness. But I want to talk about social media.
Their fingers everywhere. Oh, look! People are hooked on the thing. Hooked on the thing. Hooked on the thing. Hooked on the thing. Every single person. Talk to them as well. People could turn. You look up and look. You didn't look purple, and you didn't look up. And fucking purple, and you cunts wouldn't notice for a month. You didn't look. Wouldn't notice for a month. Okay. Did you make a lot of cash out of that? Did you?
So that may give you the general vibe. Like, honestly, I'm looking for a better way of doing this, but you know, and I can't even let it slip for a minute, because even just me letting it ride there for a second is too risky. That's why I gotta cut these clips ahead of time. But you know, as YouTube creators are fond of saying, this is very time consuming. But the main subject here is, right, this is just another episode from Black Mirror. I'm not going to do a whole show on this thing, but this guy kidnaps just like an intern at, you know, a social media company, and he's mad because people are too obsessed with their phones, and they can't get off him, right? And he lost his daughter and his wife or whatever, and that made him sad. They made him sad, right? And this guy's being hardcore right now, and so he kidnaps this intern, and it causes this like international standoff to get the cops out and everything. And he does have a real gun. You know, again, the storyline is unimportant, right? But here we are, just a couple minutes into the episode, being confronted by these attitudes, this mindset that, you know, I would argue you're supposed to sympathize in a way with this guy. You know, he is definitely insane, and you could tell from the dialogue he's sort of tripping out. But at the same time, you feel for him, you understand where he's coming from, that, like, right, we've all lost, and this is something we talk about in this community a lot, like, we've lost our friends and family. Everybody's sort of out to lunch these days, you know, ourselves included, and that's sort of like a sad state of affairs, honestly. And you know, I would understand wanting to call up, you know, other person's name we couldn't say, multiple social media leaders that we couldn't, names we couldn't say. Yeah, good night, Megan. you would want to call up and talk to them about the damage that they're doing to this society. I would fully understand that, right? You're not supposed to kidnap people. That's a little bit. It's a little bit too far. But at the same time, like, right, you're supposed to understand where he's coming from. And while this is happening, these ideas are just, these are ideas, right? And they're getting, I don't want to say implanted. It's not that graceful, right? Because you gotta it's like cooking. You gotta pick up stuff. You gotta add a little bit here, a little paranoia here, a little too far on the subject here, a little too subtle on the subject here, until, right, you go down that decision tree, and you're only really left with one socially acceptable logical choice that you can come to about any of these issues, right? And here is obviously, right, a bridge too far, CJ, a bridge too far. And, oh man, I gotta watch my back here. You see what I'm saying, right? And I feel like my computer doesn't even like me doing this. I will try to cut the clips, guys. I will try to cut the clips. Oh, you did. That is great to hear, Melissa. That, yeah, because again, I encourage people to go check out this content. However you feel about it, you will be entertained. And the only way to strengthen yourself against, right? It's like taking your medicine. People were talking about. Worried about contagion. The one thing I would encourage people to do is, like, right, you got to strengthen your immune system. Do some sports and stuff. Hopefully not outside in this kind of weather. Jesus, our lungs. Can you imagine? Layer after layer, day after day. It's like cooking, They're cooking something. And it's inside of us. It is inside of us. Guys, man, I'm monitoring that. Damn it, when I'm monitoring it, then I can't talk. Is that a gigantic triangle? Maybe some sort of craft that I see here? This is... Oh, and this I did want to talk about. There's so much... There's stories I want to tell. There's so much I want to tell you guys. Hardcore triangle though, right? This weird little rainbow was showing up just for that brief time period here on this time lapse. I thought that was very interesting. Geometric shapes. Oh, definitely. Illuminati confirmed. Alright, so thanks for sticking with me, guys. We are now at the 33-minute mark of the actual... I feel like I should have waited for the bumper to hit, because then, it's loud. But the stream may say 53 minutes, but 53, part of that was the timer lead in. You know what I mean, guys? So now we've hit the actual 33-minute mark of the stream, and I will get into the thumbnail, and I guess that's part of the plan here, because I want to get some guests on. I want to expand. We're all trying to do crazy stuff, like, Badger Report. Let's get you on the show. Skype me sometime. And then we can have a little discussion here at the 33 mark. But until I get a little more organized, a little more of that lined up, I will continue to feature a topic, and that's what ends up in the thumbnail, if you know what I mean. So, right, it's been we've already had some show, but I'm gonna get into family. As it relates to The Handmaid's Tale, because that show just came out. Very, very important to this whole debate, and very, very relevant to the news articles. I would argue that I was just showing. And also very relevant would be the audio to those clips, but those are all clips that were saying family. Right, and the show, okay. the show is moving along here. Hulu, if you guys don't have Hulu, Hulu cares. Again, these things just fall off trucks all the time, so I would encourage you to look for said trucks. But this show, Hulu is going to take credit for it, but it really is MGM. And if you are any sort of a film buff or get into this topic in any way, then you know MGM is a goddamn powerhouse, and they have gotten right. They mostly did movies. They've done movies since the dawn of film, and just have a lot of experience there. And they did Mr. Robot. They've been branching out into television and using that insane budget, that insane production knowledge that they have from basically running all of movie history, and they're putting it into these shows now. So right, some shows I show you guys I don't actually watch. I cannot endorse that. Some teeny stuff, some other stuff maybe out of my demographic, maybe stuff that is just legit trash. But this show is unbelievably well made, unbelievably well produced. We're in a age of a lot of television. This is an absolute standout, because just looking at these images frame by frame, it is just a masterpiece. A masterpiece of getting you to believe certain things and ideas. That's the delivery method for the information, is what I'm saying. But if you can get past the also very powerful, right, because that's what it does, the powerful images combined with the information to make all of that affect you more. But if you can separate those things a little bit, you can appreciate the art that is going into this show and this production, right? I just always want to give a shout out to the creators, because we are all struggling out here too, guys. Like, the people making these shows, I don't want to whistleblow specifically, but I want to whistleblow generically that, the guys doing these titles, the guys doing this color correction, some people doing big stuff, they're going to get huge paychecks, and the rest of us are slaving in the background, basically. That a lot of our names don't go into the credits. Even though we're doing thousands of hours of work for the production. I'm going to leave it at that for now. But just, right, we're real people, and it is expensive as hell here in LA, and we are all really just struggling. We are feeling this economy. On that note as well, all of those people that I was talking about, I don't really think they understand, most of them, 99% of them, are not going to understand the significance of these floor panels, why they were in this scene specifically, why they need to be in this house, and the power and information that conveys to those with eyes to see. Again, nobody I know is in on it. That's one of my whistles. Nobody I know is in on it. Nobody. Well, maybe they are, and they just didn't tell me yet. If so, reach out. I would love to get in on this, because I'm starting to see it and it looks fun, At the same time, while we can search for truth, I'm a double agent a little bit, guys. So bear with the sarcasm, bear with all of that. But we're gonna look at these clips, just showing you some images first, because right, these are the marks of master filmmakers. You see this. Again, the parallelism that we see in a lot of shows. The person that you're supposed to feel good about, empathize with, in the middle of the parallel items. And if this color is coming through, this very purplish hue that we've been seeing in other idealistic royal sort of situations. Oh, and oh man, that's probably too much already. I gotta watch out with this show, because, man, this thing is content ID'd. I probably should only show little snatches of scenes, and then snap it away again from you guys. But let's get into the audio a little bit.
Be a man watched by women. Watched by women. I'm watching him all the time. Lynch when he... I'm watching him. Am I wondering the time? Really strange all the time. Am I...
Any descent of... Weren't you a book editor? Once upon a time.
Many.
Sex. An oldie but a good. Are there any? That's. Okay. You done? See?
All right, so let me
Be a
turn
man
that
watched by
down
women.
again. So that, I mean, if you're catching those snatches, that it really is through a through line in the entire show, the entire concept, and this is again a book. This is nothing new for you guys, or for the culture, right? These ideas, but the idea is to give a foil, give somebody way extreme. Oh, check out that trail. That is like, it's so unconscionable and so grating against the current culture that you realize that we haven't gone far enough in our ideals, that we have to push it a little bit further, right? So the whole concept behind the show is that, right, they're having fertility problems, so they basically have to force certain women to make babies, and they develop this very Puritan society to make that happen, right? But it is all centered around basically the idea of these women losing all their freedom and then getting raped essentially over and over again every month by somebody that was appointed to them, and that right, is obviously not supported or wanted in any way. And in this new society called Gilead that they set up, and again, right, the imagery is everywhere. That's why the show is so good, because you see that painting on the wall. Do you see the painting on the wall? It's got the rainbow. It's got a rainbow flag. And the black and the white. And the woman. Excellent production design. Just look at the light sourcing. I mean, goddamn gorgeous. And I just hope you guys realize that all of that is not just for fun. That's, maybe why I spent a little bit of time on those bumpers, because it's engaging. The flickering images, the beauty of it will get you more engaged, and you will be even more ready to accept said ideas that are in her, or be even more outraged by what you're seeing, right? What you see in this scene, she is asked to get a book from she's trying to listen in on this secret meeting where they are deciding the fate of other women, and right, you're not supposed to like that. And then she's made sort of a scapegoat. They treat her like shit and ask her to get a book. She's, pouring coffee. And this is the main guy that came up with the whole idea, right? And he's being a total asshole in front of everybody. While at the same time, later, ends up being nice to her and helps with the revolution. A lot of complex layers in here, right? But freedom to do what you want is the main theme. It's all over this, and I would argue that is the main theme of all of those news articles that I showed earlier. You need the freedom to do what you want with your body, with your own existence, right? And we see her so mad. She's so mad, and she's a fantastic actor. Some actresses prefer to be called actors, but she is goddamn unbelievable, and is asked to play similar emotions for most of the show, but she is still fantastic at it. So again, shout out to the creators, guys. Shout out to the YouTube creators. Shout out to Snafu Snaps and Thrift Store Prepper. And I want to paint that image, guys, that these vessels of propagation, words I can't say, mind-benders, it's all small little families too, right? It's all a big fam there. And these people, they don't know when they're getting work again after this project. They could never work again. It is so tenuous for these creators, for all of us out there. So, much love.
And I love you. And I love you. I am old.
So this is the scene, man, I need like 5 hands to do this. This is the scene where, right, her actual daughter from before the whole lockdown and change of culture, is her own daughter is taken away from her and sent off to an orphanage, right? Because that's what they did essentially when this revolution started. They reorganized society and broke up the family, basically. That was the whole idea and the whole concept behind this. And this will definitely not be the last episode I do on family, because it is possibly the most important message in every single piece of entertainment that you need to value family. You really do, and we do, right? And that's the hard part with this messaging, because sometimes it is good messages, and the good messages are the even more insidious ones, because you can get fooled into thinking or doing stuff that isn't logical, basically. Right, and that scene comes over and over again, and not just this show, but shows in general, that they're torturing a person. They say they won't give the information up, they won't betray their ideals until the person endangers their family. They say they're going to torture their kid or their husband or their wife, and then instantly that person always gives up, always, instantly, right away. No, don't kill my dad. Don't do it. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? Over and 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 over again. And that's basically what's going on in this show, wall to wall. But because, again, with all this stuff, that's why I'm harping on the production design. That it makes it so much more powerful, and the idea just, it burrows in your mind. I can't believe they took away this woman's daughter. She's such a good actress, and like that is just unacceptable, right? She's so sad, right? And she has to just leave her there. She can't even talk with her. Can't even
She's very
wake her up.
a blessed child. Driving. John.
Right, and again with the good acting.
Does for her trial. Gave her to a murderer. To a murderer. Your baby. My baby. You killed me from me. I taught her. My baby. She screwed her. Feels like that. Oh, this like that. It feels.
All right, that's why I gotta edit them, because it is really annoying with the jittery. But the trouble is I have to edit it down to less than a second per clip, because otherwise, even if they're longer groups of seconds, they will still contain ID based. They will get a long enough signal basically for that, so that the clips need to be under a second, which makes it very hard to convey information in those clips. But as you can see from that scene, right, the layers of family. She was made to have a baby for the other lady in the scene, and that's sort of how this society works, right? You have a baby for another mother, and then that person takes their that child away from you and raises it on their own, right? And you just go back to making another baby. Because you're just a baby factory. Again, very good reason to get those factory wombs going, those artificial wombs, which on the way. Because then this whole discussion would be moot, right? We could just all have fantastic careers and not worry about the baby making. Such a hassle, right? But she made a baby for her, but then she took it out of Gilead. She took it out of the country, and then for whatever reason came back. It's a convoluted plot, but the point is that, right, she is enraged now that she lost her baby, even though, right, she was the one that made the baby. The society set up the convention that it was her baby, and she is actually absolutely devastated. Again, fantastic actress, been in a bunch of other productions, worked her entire life to get in this show. Entire life, and it wasn't easy, right? And she's crushing it. Just like Snafu, just like Homegrown, crushing it through indoctrination. But it's art too, right? You can learn to balance.
May I return to your home country? Would you be subject to the danger of torture or risk to your life? Danger of torture or risk to your life? As a person in need of protection, do you wish to seek asylum? Country of Canada.
Oh man, and it really honestly all ties together, right? The whole idea is that people are fleeing to Canada to get away from this oppressive regime, and this is just a very heart-wrenching scene where she like takes the baby across this cold frozen stream into Canada. With the baby almost dies, and she's got to give the baby resuscitation, right? And then she finally gets asylum. She gets across the border, and like, oh my god, like, yeah, give me that tinfoil blanket, because it's cold AF in the stream. And right, all of these things are mixing together, but that's just how entertainment works in general, that you'll hear about a border with a certain country and events that are happening, but things will be flipped around. The names will be changed, and I'm not going to fill in those blanks for you. That's the hope that you can do that. But you see how this would make you empathize with quote unquote people changing countries and coming from oppressive regimes, coming from a place of less advantage, and how we really, if you have any sort of heart, you will take care of these people because they swam across a river with a baby. All of them. And they're kind of hot too. And there's like super beautiful music playing in the background.
Country of Canada.
So then maybe I could do like a half volume. This is just like a whole sequence. And right, she's so strung out by losing her child, her family. What is family, right? Is a family, you can have an adopted baby, totally fine with that. She like burns down her marriage bed or whatever and is like threatening to jump into it. Like she is so busted up by losing her child. And right then these women have to have a moment together. And again, framed pillars. Did you see it? Did you catch it? Beautiful imagery in the scene too. Goddamn MGM. MGM has got it on lock. Right? And that's why I would appreciate you guys, not coming after me for the copyrights, because I just want to present your guys' material in an honest fashion. But right, these women come together, they understand each other on a certain level. She gets why she did it, right? We are family, we're all family. And she gets her to not jump into the flames, into the flaming bed again, right? You could overlap this imagery with Burning Man, with what was happening on the White House lawn. All of that is lining up, and if you didn't know what those things were, now you are yet again confronted with the same image of self-immolation. Symbols, themes, images, guys, on repeat, all across the channels, all different countries, demographics. And the big question is whether that's all organized, orchestrated, and planned. I would argue a bunch of it doesn't need to be, because it is self-generating, self-influencing. If you know how to send the right images out, the right info out in the right way, your message amplifies itself. People start making content based on those ideas. And then sooner or later it runs away. It's got its own train.
Lord Jesus, with his mighty, thou shalt take vengeance. From heaven be revealed with his mighty, and with his vengeance. Burn. The angels.
Anyways, we are getting along here. I definitely want to keep my show full of content, packed to the gills with content. But at the same time, I want to get this message out here, and I have checked all of the boxes. I thank and appreciate all of you for getting me past 1,000 subscribers. That is nuts town. Also got, what was the other checkbox I needed to get? What was that other checkbox? I'm gonna skip to the outro. Come on, guys. It's time for some outro music.
You killed me. You.
What am I trying to say here? I ultra appreciate all you. Obviously, we are family. Truth Yo, Fuga Fam, Thrift Store, wall to wall. The collaboration is powerful, right? That's how they make these powerful images, these powerful productions. And right, I'm here to say, you too can do that. You too can. Let me turn that down a little bit. You too can, make your own stuff. I'm gonna do a tutorial for you guys pretty soon, because all of the tools that I'm using are free, right? Everything that I've done today, I didn't exactly pay for, right? I obviously paid for the streaming services that got me this content, but everything else, the production of it, the video editing, the streaming, all of it is free. It just takes your own time to learn how it works. And right, I sort of want to walk you guys through. I made these bumpers, and I didn't know anything about it, and you got to learn new stuff, and that's has to do with all this getting ready for whatever is coming. You got to learn new stuff. You got to learn it fast, right? You got to learn how to tie knots. You got to learn how to cook. You got to learn how to plant stuff, and right, there's no time to just like hem and haw about it. You can't just like, right, tell your friends every weekend like, oh man, I really got to get that garden started, because that's what I do. Like, I honestly really got to get that garden started, but in the search for getting out this message, I'm trying to get this production stuff a little bit better, and I'm trying out new stuff every day, trying to learn that stuff, and you can learn it, right? If you really want to, if you really need to, you will learn it. But now is the time when we have our brains hooked up to this insane amount of data. And so I would say call said mountain of data for data that you find important and interesting. And also just come and hang out. Come and hang out. And that is the point. I thought the 1,000 subscriber thing, I was ready for the monetization, because again, I'm not that this is about the money, and you know, not everybody says that, but the whole goal with these thumbnails and these topics is to get normal people to come over to this channel, and then hopefully add them to the family and blow their minds, mildly. Putting that mildly.
Alright, guys. I guess that's the end of the show. The end of the show. Still working on my chords. Good night, Scott Rogers. Good night, Crazy Granny. Good night, Shotgun and free. You are also a legend, you're a legend, you're a legend. Good night. Good night. Oh shit, copyright strike, watch out. I'm gonna get to that scene. Yeah, no, the show's over. See you guys tomorrow. Take it